You're listening to Bad Girlfriend Radio. I'm your host, Bree Schmidt. I'm a relationship coach offering advice and insight that is no shame, no sugarcoat, and no BS, all real talk here. I'd like to think of myself as your sister or your friend who is there to help steer you in the right direction when you need a little bit of guidance when it comes to dating, relationships, your love life, like all of that. I've got you covered. And I myself have definitely needed a lot of guidance at times. I used to doubt myself so much when it came to relationships, and I really didn't know what I was doing. Even when I was in like a long-term, serious, committed relationship, living together, there have been so many times I had no idea what I was doing. But I have learned a lot. Actually, I am such a nerd about relationships that I decided to major when I was in university. My major that I graduated with was, actually there were two. See, I told you I'm a double nerd about this. I double majored, one major being sexuality and the other one being sociology that focused primarily on relationships and gender. So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to bore you too much with how much of a nerd I am. But that's actually how much I doubted myself when I was in university when it came to like my love life. Like I was struggling then a lot too with a boyfriend that I was living with. I really thought we were going to get married. But at the same time, who I was in that relationship, I felt like who I was showing up as was not the kind of person I wanted to become. And I got so tired of just doubting myself and not knowing what I was doing. So I literally spent thousands of dollars in tuition money just to learn how to basically be a better girlfriend. And of course, I've learned a lot since then too in kind of like outside studies and also just in living my life, having more relationships, meeting more people. So I have definitely come out on top finally, and basically I want to help you do the same. These days I am a far way away from back in the day when I was in university studying about sexuality and everything. These days I actually live in Tokyo, Japan. So I also kind of had to take everything that I learned about relationships then and rework it in a whole new culture. So it's been a culture shock in general living in Japan, but also like when it came to my love life too. There were a lot of like little adjustments, but it also helped me to, I think, learn more about myself. Like there are some things in relationships, it doesn't matter what country I live in, like I will not back down on those things. And there are certain like limits and boundaries that had to be put in place. And now I've actually been here almost the entire time that I've lived in Japan, which has been like at the time of this recording, almost 4 years. So for the majority of that time, I've actually been here with a Japanese partner who I met here in Japan, which that I could go into so many more stories about dating here and meeting guys here and my relationship here in Japan. But yeah, I'll save that for another episode. But today we're actually talking about what it means to be a bad girlfriend, and I really want to get into what it means to be a better bad girlfriend. So what does this mean? What am I talking about? So first, I'm going to kind of get back to my like university roots for a minute and talk about like some sociology kind of stuff, but I'm sure it'll be okay. Like I won't bore you too much, I hope. So I want to talk for a minute about this idea of being a bad girlfriend and how that shows up in our society. I think there are a lot of examples out there of like what a bad girlfriend is. This kind of image out there of like the crazy girlfriend or like this really needy girl or the overly attached girlfriend. That was actually a meme back, I don't know, like a few years ago. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I think you probably have seen this image, this meme before. But anyway, you could totally go Google like overly attached girlfriend meme and all of like the really funny memes will show up and then you'll know what I'm talking about. So there's definitely a lot of examples out there and different like representations of, bad girlfriends. But today I don't want to try to necessarily like steer you away from that. Actually, I want to ask you, everyone listening, to help me reclaim being a bad girlfriend. If you look around, there's like a whole movement right now of empowered, strong women who are calling themselves like baddies or, bad bitches, which I feel kind of funny saying because I never call myself a bad bitch, but, or even like Rihanna, which like, if you're like, wait, what did she just say? Rihanna. I always hear her name is Rihanna, but I think her name is actually Rihanna, right? So I'm going to go with Rihanna. Rihanna's Instagram handle is Bad Gal Riri. So even that's an example, like being kind of a bad girl is, I don't know, something kind of empowering in a way. I mean, of course, coming from the wrong mouth, if like Donald Trump said something about like, like when he made some comment before about like a nasty woman or whatever, it's obviously not empowering them, but I think from us women to be able to call ourselves whatever we want, really bad, whatever baddie or like bad bitch or whatever, then it's kind of showing how strong we are. It's empowering. It doesn't really have that kind of negative connotation, right? It kind of expresses something about like our style, our attitude. So anyway, how does this relate to relationships though? When it comes to being a bad girlfriend, I don't necessarily think it has to be any different. I mean, there's a lot of pressure to be a good girlfriend. There's a lot of pressure to be like basically the opposite of that like needy, overly attached girlfriend, right? And this pressure to be like the chill girlfriend. Like you have to like not text your boyfriend too much. You have to like be super independent. And you have to kind of have this like relaxed demeanor all the time. Basically, having any complex emotions is not really part of the image. It's almost the level of like being a Stepford wife. And whether you're married or not married currently, you don't want to be a Stepford wife if you're listening to this. I assume that's not what you're aiming for. It's kind of like being this really cool, relaxed, like chill girl, but in a package that's really convenient for guys. And then there is also a more like kind of wifey traditional version of a good girlfriend and a good female partner. And that's the girl who is always serving others before herself, like almost always. And she really has this kind of maternal vibe. She wants to care for others. And, if you're like that naturally, that's okay. But I think when there's a pressure to put others' comfort or needs before your own all the time, it's hard to be able to voice your own needs and your own opinions and feelings. And you might even kind of lose sight of what those real like needs and opinions and feelings are if you're always focused on other people. I could go on and on about what makes a good girlfriend according to, stereotypes or society. But whether it's the traditional good girlfriend or like the good wife role or a girl kind of like the chill girlfriend or any other version of what a good girlfriend is that, society pushes on us, none of these definitions will serve you. None of these definitions will serve you. They're always about serving somebody else, being convenient for them. None of them allow you the space to be who you really are. And most importantly, and most damaging, is that they shame you for being imperfect. And besides all of us obviously having some imperfections, none of us are actually perfect. Some of us really do struggle a little extra hard when it comes to navigating our love lives because we weren't taught how to show up in relationships or how to have healthy relationships. Some of us, myself included, have been exposed to really unhealthy relationships. And as we try to pick up the pieces from those unhealthy, kind of broken relationships and learn how to have better relationships, we, quite frankly, don't deserve to be called crazy or psycho or clingy or needy or attached or whatever, right? We're trying the best that we can. Maybe this is actually a good time to give you a little bit of background on me. So I grew up, as many do, with a pretty poor model for what a committed romantic relationship should actually look like. There was a lot of chaos in my environment growing up. I witnessed a lot of abuse, substance addiction, and just like all around struggle. No one taught me relationship skills. I mean, no one. I had no good, like, healthy relationship model. Maybe a little bit from like TV, from like watching TV, but mostly I just really learned what not to do. And when I started having an interest in boys way back in like second grade in elementary school, I was obsessed. I remember once I wrote a love letter to a boy in my class, and like back in elementary school, there were these cubbies with your name on it, and then the teacher puts like letters and things to take home in your cubby box. And so I had this love letter that I wanted to give to my crush back then. And I was trying so hard to devise a plan to put the love letter in the cubby without the teacher or anyone else noticing. But like, that's what I thought love was then. I was kind of obsessed with it, and I think I was a bit controlling about it. Like, I didn't even learn, not that I think this is a really great thing to learn either, but I didn't even learn like, oh, just kind of be passive, like let boys come to you or whatever. I think I really, from a young age, I craved love, and I definitely looked to relationships with boys for that. Also, like listening to a lot of pop songs about love and watching like movies with a love story to it. That's basically where I learned these kind of like over the top crazy things. And I didn't really have a realistic model to pull inspiration from. I was just really over the top and kind of obsessed about relationships. And back when you're like 8 years old, it's not such a big deal. But I remember even being in junior high school, and I still had no idea what I was doing. Like, I really did fit kind of like the definition of the crazy, no-chill girlfriend. I have a lot of little examples, either times when I was just, like I said, like obsessed about a boy secretly and spent like all my free time thinking of them, or the times when I actually made my feelings known, but it was super awkward. When I was about 13, back in junior high, I remember this boy named Carlos, and it's not even a significant detail to this story, but I grew up kind of moving around a lot, and so when I was in junior high, I was living in Houston, in Texas. There were a lot of kids who went to my school who were, they actually immigrated from somewhere else, and so Carlos was like that, and basically, he couldn't really speak English, which is fine. But, I mean, he was like, in my eyes back then, he was the one. I had such a huge crush on him, but we couldn't even actually communicate. And I didn't even try anyway. I just looked at him from like across the room when we had PE class together. And basically, he caught my eye because he had shoes that I liked. And I mean, that was like reason enough for me. So I just would like gaze at him, and he was like, you know, just the one for me, I thought. Finally, at the end of the school year, my friends helped me to tell him that I had had this huge crush on him, but he didn't even really understand what we were saying. He couldn't really understand like the context and everything. He couldn't really understand and like put it all together like, oh, like she really likes you. He couldn't really get it. But I spent so much time back in 8th grade thinking about this boy. But again, I mean, in junior high too, I think we're kind of immature and that happens. But it doesn't even stop there. Like, even as I got older and older, I still didn't know what I was doing. Like, actually, when I entered my first really serious relationship, it was pretty scary because I didn't know which emotions were healthy and which were unhealthy, what was like normal, what wasn't normal. I didn't know when I actually had a good reason to be upset with my partner or when I was just expecting too much. And really, that's the problem. Without having a good relationship model, I really didn't know what was considered normal. I didn't know what I was supposed to expect. I just didn't want to accept this like abusive, codependent, broken relationship like the ones I watched growing up. I knew I didn't have to repeat that, but I also didn't know where to set my standards. And in all of my confusion, looking back on it, also I didn't choose someone who was good for me, but also I spent a lot of time just fighting and trying to establish boundaries, only to question my own boundaries. There were a lot of tears and a lot of stressful talks and threats of breaking up. So yeah, I was definitely not the chill girlfriend, definitely not like the ideal good girlfriend. I was just trying to learn as I went. If this sounds anything like you, I am giving you permission right now to let go of the pressure to be a good girlfriend. You can be a bad girlfriend. We're going back to Rihanna here. You can be a bad girlfriend. I want us to reclaim being a bad girlfriend. Here's why. Well, first, it's the only way that you can learn how to do this whole relationship thing. You don't just start relationships being a great girlfriend. Whether you're 20 years old, if you're already in your 30s, if you're outside of that range, that's totally fine. Navigating relationships and learning how to be so close to someone else and have them be that important in your life and open up to them in the way that relationships require you to do. It takes time to figure out. It takes time to figure out how to mesh yourself and your life with somebody else and their life. The only way to figure out what works for you and what doesn't and how that works with your partner is to just let go. The only way that you can learn what you like, what you don't like, where to set your boundaries is to just let go. Let go of the need to be a good girlfriend. If you're stuck on being a good girlfriend, however you might be defining that in your head or how that was taught to you, what a good girlfriend, what a good partner looks like, if you're stuck on trying to be that, you're not allowing yourself to just let go. You have to let go. You have to let go to learn and figure out this whole relationship thing. And this is only episode 1, but I have a lot more episodes coming up, and I have a lot of other resources coming up that I want to give to you. But you have to let go. You have to let go. You can't be open to any kind of change and learning and growing in your relationship if you're always trying to be something else. And I'll tell you, even if fully letting go means at first you find yourself just letting it all out, yelling at your partner when you never did before, or maybe you're yelling in a way that you never have before, or you find yourself letting go to the point where you are in a ball on the floor crying because you have so many emotions and you're just sick of controlling them. You're sick of bottling it all up. If that's what letting go looks like at first, I'll be the first to tell you, honestly, that's okay. You'll be fine, and your relationship, if it's a healthy relationship, it's going to be fine too. Even if your partner is like, whoa, what got into her? Why is she upset so much lately? Why is she suddenly being so honest about her feelings with me lately? If you have a good partner, if you have a good relationship, it will survive that. I mean, unless letting go means that you are somehow getting abusive or manipulative, I mean, don't do that. But if you're just being real with your emotions, sometimes that raw reaction is exactly what needs to come out. And that's when you can see who you truly are and what you actually need in your relationship and from your partner. By dialing it back to be more chill or easy to deal with for your partner, to try to be that like better partner, that ideal girl, you're doing yourself no service at all. Just like I said, don't be abusive, don't be manipulative. This isn't me giving you permission to be that. And don't make it a habit. Don't make it a habit to yell and scream. I mean, like I said, if that's your initial reaction, if that's what it means, if you're not used to like letting go and accepting more of your flawed side, if at first it's showing up like you're looking a little crazy, that's okay. But don't make it a habit. Actually, I have some tips on fighting better over at brieschmidt.com, so I'll put a link to that in the show description. But I encourage you to let go of the need to be quiet or censored all the time just to please someone else. So that's my first reason why I want us to reclaim being a bad girlfriend. My second reason is it's okay to be a bad girlfriend because it's okay to be flawed. You don't just one day figure it all out and start being a perfect partner, right? There will still be moments when you mess up and do things that no perfect girlfriend would do. And that's fine because who cares about being a perfect good girlfriend? The voice inside your head telling you to care, replace that voice with a new one. Replace that voice with one who takes pride in being a little bad. You can replace that voice in your head with the voice of Rihanna or Beyonce or whatever if you want, that's fine. All the coaching that I do and all the advice that I give allows you space to be imperfect with no shame. That's what I needed for so long. That's what I needed when I felt so boy crazy and obsessed about finding something, some kind of worth in somebody else that I was lacking in myself. When I felt so needy, when I felt crazy, when I felt confused and ashamed, that's what I needed. I needed permission to just let go of the pressure to be perfect. And I needed someone to tell me that it's okay, that I was enough just as I was. I needed to know that it was okay that I wasn't a great girlfriend and that it was okay that I was actually kind of a bad girlfriend. And I can tell you now, even as a relationship coach, even as someone who's been in multiple relationships, even as someone who is in a long-term relationship now that's been going on for a few years, I'm still kind of a bad girlfriend and I've just accepted it. But like I said at the beginning of this episode, the main focus is on being a better bad girlfriend. It's hard to grow from a place of shame and negativity. And once you start to accept your flaws and imperfections and even a little craziness sometimes, the easier it is to actually grow more into yourself. You might always be something other than the good girlfriend, but be open to change and growth. Even if you're taking pride in being a bad girlfriend, allow yourself room to grow and change and be better. Be a better bad girlfriend. Not because someone told you to be different, not because you think you need to change in order to attract a partner, but because you want it. What inspired me when I was younger, I make it sound like I'm really old now. I'm not the age of your grandmother or anything by any means. Can't pretend to be. But back a few years ago, what inspired me to start actually studying sexuality, relationships, like I said, and at the time also work actually under another coach back then. What inspired all of that was my own mission to improve myself and to learn about relationships for myself and to even learn more about my partner and how to get along with my partner who I had back then, my ex-boyfriend. But what inspires me now to do relationship coaching, to go forward on a whole new level with this podcast, with everything, is you and your journey. I've known so many women. I've known women younger than me, older than me, much older than me, double my age older than me, but also younger, and also some who are my peers, same age as me, friends who have struggled in their relationships with being able to let go. Like I said, let go is the key word. But I mean, really being able to actually open up in relationships to let people get close to them. Or maybe it was that they didn't know how to establish boundaries. Maybe it was that they didn't know how to communicate their needs. Maybe they didn't even know what their needs really were. Maybe they just didn't know why they were fighting so much. Maybe they had a lot of anxiety and that was affecting their relationships. Now, everything that I'm doing now, that I'm still learning, there's still more that I'm always learning. And also what I'm teaching as well and what I'm coaching and what I want to be able to provide for you is really not about my journey anymore. It's about yours. We all deserve to have relationships that celebrate us, not for being a good girlfriend, but for being whoever we are. And that starts with us. That starts with you. It doesn't start with your partner accepting you. It starts with you accepting you. So to recap, being a bad girlfriend is about accepting your flaws. Accepting your flaws. This is not a surprise at this point, right? Accepting your flaws. Turning the script in your head that tells you that you're not enough into one that says that you are plenty just the way that you are and that you're worth celebrating just the way that you are. It's about reclaiming the phrases bad girlfriend, crazy girlfriend, whatever, and being okay with not being the chill girlfriend or any other sexist archetypes out there. And it's about always growing and being a better bad girlfriend. It's not about just accepting exactly how you are now and saying, okay, yep, this is great. It's about accepting who you are, but also being willing to improve and change for the better. I want to be there with you on this journey to becoming a better bad girlfriend. To get started, head over to brieschmidt.com for more on what you need to have a healthy relationship. Plus, find out how to identify what your relationship needs right now. I have a quiz all about that. And I also have 10 rules for clear communication, plus so much more. If you want to learn more about this episode and being a better bad girlfriend, including my Bad Girlfriend Manifesto that I encourage you to share or copy down in your notebook or wherever it can be of use to you, head over to brieschmidt.com/am I a bad girlfriend. Am I a bad girlfriend has hyphens in between each word, but it's also just super easy. If you go to the show description, you can click on it there. And you can find all these other links plus my Instagram and Facebook links in the show description. Thanks for listening. Until next time.